I remember being in the car with my mom when I was a child, sitting next to her, talking about my future. We spent a lot of time talking about my future. And I remember saying to her, when I grow up, I want to get paid to be myself. And at the time, this didn't seem like a real answer to her. But I distinctly remember the clarity, the real sense of that's actually what I wanted to do. Most of the other time in my life, I spent looking at what other people were doing and essentially trying to copy them. I loved music, and I loved sports, and I love ideas, and I watched other people create these things in the world and thought, well, maybe I can do that too. So I spent a lot of time observing the things that really moved me and really excited me and trying to emulate or copy those. And what I found each time is that I was not as good at being other people as they were. And perhaps more importantly, I was not as motivated to be other people as I was myself, as they were for themselves. So for example, I loved the guitar and I loved Jimi Hendrix, but I didn't practice that much. I think what I actually liked is being a fan of Jimi Hendrix. I didn't want to become Jimi Hendrix. But when I didn't practice, I really felt like there was something wrong with me. I lacked discipline. I lacked motivation. Maybe I was scared to have good things happen in my life. I didn't know. But fundamentally, I thought that there was something wrong with me. And this pattern repeated itself with music, with education, with sports, with all kinds of pursuits in my life. And the further I went, the more I felt like a failure and like there was something wrong with me. I kept trying to get out of a hole, like I was behind in life, and I was trying to fix that by becoming something. But if we go back to this initial insight, this was one moment in which I really resonates with me when I wasn't trying to be someone else. This much I knew. That what's really going to be satisfying for me is to be me. But what is that? Of course, being me or you is not to be a musician or an athlete or a teacher or an academic. It's something that you feel and experience personally. It's not just the way it looks or what you do. But I didn't know how to access that. There was no institution or part of my life that said, who are you? What does it feel like to be you? What are you experiencing? And how can we support you to live and bring that more into the world? I didn't know that was a possibility. So I did what other people did. And that didn't work for me. And it led me down a very unhappy path. Until one day, many years later, I started to consider spirituality and personal discovery. And I reconnected with this vein of myself that wanted to be me. And these two things lined up, actually kind of fixing the problems in my life and having a life that was really meaningful started to come in alignment. I realized that solving the problems that I had, I was going to solve that by discovering myself. And I liked discovering myself. I found that really interesting. I found that like a really worthwhile use of my time and energy. So this today is what I consider manifestation. It's not the becoming something or getting a Lamborghini or being the next so-and-so or writing the next great American novel. It's about knowing yourself, feeling yourself, and bringing that into the world. Because what I discovered is myself and what I am doing in this life doesn't already exist. That's kind of the beauty of it. That's what makes it unique and fun to be me, and that's ultimately why my contribution to this world is important. Because I don't already exist. My potential isn't already out in the world somewhere. If it was, what would be the point? So looking back, I can realize why I wasn't able to find my path reflected in the world, because I wasn't out there yet. So the place as an adult that I really started to get traction on my life was when I asked myself, what am I actually experiencing? When I learned to turn my attention away from what other people were doing, what I thought about life, and what I basically remembered or learned from other people's experiences, and I became intrinsically interested in my experience and myself. And then it all started to make sense. It all started to work out for me. And the first realization that I had is that I was not connected to myself. I knew I was living in a narrow bandwidth. I knew quite a narrow amount about myself. Most of my attention was up in my thoughts or even out of my body in some sort of dreamland of imagination. I was not grounded. I did not have a sort of a basic sense of what was happening for me in the present moment. And as I realized this and started to sort of come back to my body, I thought, well, of course I'm not successful. How could I be successful if I'm not connected to myself? It all started to become clear and simple. And I kind of formulated an equation for myself that the more connected I am to myself, the more my life is going to look like me. My problem wasn't my presence in the world. My problem was my absence. So if I want to improve my life, I just move towards myself. I become more connected with myself. And the beauty of this equation is there's really no obstacle to that. You're not waiting on someone, or there's no life circumstances which was in control of me anymore. The outcome of my life was strictly now determined by how much I was willing to pay attention to myself. And quite honestly, since then, I haven't had any problems. I mean, I've had lots of painful, challenging, uncomfortable situations, more than I can count. But those aren't problems. Those are really all just me on the path to being more myself and creating myself in the world. That's not work. That's what I love to do. So if we go back to this insight, I will get paid to be me. I will get paid to be me. That's what I want. I found that to be true. It's true financially in some ways, but even more generally, my life circumstances will become more abundant the more that I am connected to myself. So how do you become more connected to yourself? Well, the first thing is that you learn to notice where your attention is. Is it in your thoughts? Is it in your dreams? Is it in the things you imagine or wish or hope to be true? Or is it grounded in your physical sensations, your emotions, your thoughts, and the subtle sense of perception that lies in the background of your experience? So through spiritual practice and therapy, I learned to turn my attention towards myself. I learned to talk about the things that are actually happening now, instead of the things that I wished were happening now. That made a big difference. So what's actually happening now is I'm hearing, I'm seeing, I'm thinking, I'm feeling emotions, and I'm feeling sensations. So that's where I bring my attention. That's what's real. And as I did that, I realized beyond that, or within that, there was actually lots more happening. There were more thoughts and feelings and sensations that I hadn't noticed. There was lots of inner me as a sort of person, as a human being to explore. That blew my mind. But beyond that, I started to notice the fact that I'm having an experience at all, the fact that I'm conscious, that I'm present, this is me too. I hadn't noticed it. So being myself or being yourself is not just about an attitude or being a personality or being authentic to the things that you think. It's a relationship of discovery, of moving towards yourself, of continuing to honor and essentially be fascinated by what you are experiencing in the present moment. So we're going to break this down into two parts. First, today, in this video, we're going to look at motivation, being yourself, and I equate those two together. And next, in the next video, we're going to look at expressing yourself. These are the two parts: being yourself, being motivated, and expressing yourself. So again, if our job is not to become somebody, but to be ourselves, we learn to turn our attention to our thoughts, our feelings, and our sensations. At the end of this video, I'll do a guided meditation that will support you in this. Being yourself is an activity which is progressive. It's not a static activity. You're not just being yourself. You're constantly moving deeper into your experience. You're using your attention, your focus, to explore more of yourself. This is part of the discovery of being yourself. There's a lot more there than perhaps you would have considered. And you can only know that. You can only know yourself by moving towards yourself, by bringing your focus into your body, by bringing your focus into your experience, and exploring both the raw sensations of caring and emotion and sensation, but also the subtlety of your experience. Listening with deep presence, feeling into the experience of being aware, of being conscious, of being present, knowing yourself both as a human being, but also as an experience. And what I found, what I expect you would find, is that motivation really has never been my problem. Motivation is intrinsic in the experience of being born. So is unique value. Having a unique purpose and value, this is also intrinsic in the experience of being born. And instead of trying to think of what is my unique purpose and value, it's your experience. Your experience is essentially your unique purpose and value. Being yourself, the experience of being yourself is the purpose. Now, what happens? What do you do when you be yourself? Well, that's something that we discover. But if we're going to discover it, it's going to be because we learn to emphasize the being and the experiencing and the feeling, and de-emphasizing being patient upon how that looks in the world. So I relax a little bit about how I'm being seen, what I'm accomplishing, what I'm doing, and I put more of my attention on what I'm experiencing, what's happening for me right now. And every time I do this, I'm supporting my inner life. I'm supporting my experience to come to life. I'm accumulating energy. I'm accumulating experience. I'm accumulating a sense of self. I'm alive. I'm feeling myself. I'm becoming more vital. So if we are going to sustain this process, if we are going to be successful in life, if we are going to do the beautiful and unique job of manifesting and bringing ourselves into the world, we're going to need a motivation We're going to need some felt sense that this is what we want to do, that we want to be ourselves, that there's something of value just in the experience of being. So I guarantee you that if you are watching me say this, you have that. Otherwise, why would you be watching this video? So here's our guided meditation for today, for now, for this video. Just pause. Again, you can feel the weight of your body. You can feel the sensations of your body. You can feel the emotions of your body, your thoughts, and you're aware. Why are you here right now? Of all the things you could be doing in your life, you're doing this. Instead of thinking about the answer, I just want you to feel the answer. Notice how you feel all through this spectrum of yourself. Notice how you hold your body. Notice how your sensations and your emotions move through your nervous system. Notice the thoughts and images that you have. This is a living answer. It's an answer that's alive, that's moving. It may not stay the same. That's not important. What is important is that it gets to move. And gets to move because we are bringing our awareness to it. So whatever it is that you feel when I ask, why are you here? Why take the time to manifest yourself in the world and listen to this video? This is motivation. You're not motivated by an idea. You're not motivated by what other people are doing. The raw energy of you is your motivation. So often we do meditation to clear our minds or to remove our suffering or to find relaxation, to calm down. Maybe you're feeling calm right now. But meditation is also a place in which the spark of life and motivation that is you can become inflamed, that we can feed the fire that is you, that is your nervous system, that is your life. And we don't know where this goes. We don't know what this becomes. But we have a starting place and a place to return to. The more alive you are, the more in line you will be with your life. So taking time to bring ourselves to a greater sense of aliveness, asking, sensing, feeling, inquiring into what it feels like to be you right now. This is a productive activity when it comes to getting paid to be yourself. So we just take some moments. We learn to stay connected to our thoughts, feelings, and sensations, to gravity, and the experience of being aware of ourselves, of being aware of all of this movement and life energy. And instead of looking for something in particular, Instead of looking to find the answer, the secret, just notice that you're looking at all. If you're looking, it's because you're motivated. And it's because you care. This in itself is the solution. This is what we need more of. This is a living answer. Your presence, your focus, your intention, your desire. This is the most fundamental element of manifestation. And we learn to relax from looking to find the answer or the solution or the thing that we're going to become or the thing that we're going to do to the act of looking itself. That's what we're looking for. And that's what we're going to use as our tool to create a life that's in line with ourselves. We're going to use our presence, our attention, our focus, our intelligence, the raw capacity to pay attention to yourself. The only solution that I know of to a meaningful life is to be yourself. And being yourself is a process. It's a love affair, a discovery of what is happening for you now. And this isn't work. Maybe at the beginning it feels like there's an activity of having to pay attention, having to remember, having to remind yourself. But over time, it becomes self-sustaining, effortless, fluid, a flow state. Being yourself, paying attention to what's happening now becomes the most natural thing in the world. What else is there than the process of experiencing what is happening now? But we all start somewhere. We all start with some amount of connection to ourselves. And every time we take the effort, we take the time and effort to sit down and pay attention to ourselves, this activity becomes a little bit more natural. Again, we're not doing it so that we can discover an answer. We're doing it so we can experience it happening. We're doing it so we can pay attention to the fact that we are experiencing ourselves, that we are conscious, that we are present, and to bring this deeper into our bodies and ultimately out into the world. And that's what we're going to focus on next, expressing ourselves, bridging the gap between our inner world and what we call our outer world. Creating a life where what we experience around ourselves is in alignment with what we experience inside ourselves. This is a life without work. This is a life of alignment, of meaning, of purpose, and one that is unique to you and of unique benefit to this world.